Next, we're going to look into how we can leverage AI to optimize operations. And right now we have with us Dan Durn from Adobe. Thank you for coming out and staying with us for this interview.
Appreciate you having us.
Now, Adobe, it just seems like it's a bunch of technology involved problem solvers. So getting AI involved just seems like a natural transition. I mean, Adobe's been doing it for years, which people don't even realize. But you most recently did something different. You added AI into your finance department. And it was through this finance hackathon is what you called it. And I read an article where you called it a Shark Tank moment. So I want to see if you can explain to everyone here what exactly you did, but what brought it about in the first place?
Yeah, so as we think about this inflection that's shaping end markets, we've got the ability to influence and impact our customers with how we bring this technology to life. But we also have an opportunity to adopt this technology internally and become even better at what we do to improve organizational velocity, get to insights faster, and help shape and drive business impact. So we're going to be leaders in this technology inflection. And as I think about the starting point, anytime you adopt technology, change management matters. And there's a difference organizationally if change is imposed or the organization is part of architecting the solution. So that's the starting point philosophically for me personally. And then from an environmental and context standpoint, we've got technology-inclined problem solvers and a cultural framing inside of the company that great ideas come from anywhere. Bringing all of that together, how do we activate the organization to be a part of the solution? Let's hold a hackathon. Best ideas come from within the organization, had over 100 submissions. There's 4 primary swim lanes, categories, themes that came out. We down selected to about 15 of what we thought were the best ideas. And then, like you said, we did a Shark Tank moment. The teams came in, presented their ideas. We went with 5 initially to implement. And the great thing is those 5 teams, super excited about architecting the future of finance in Adobe. The 10 teams that were down selected are super excited because they form the future pipeline of opportunities and get to learn from those that come before them. So it's a great moment inside the company, and really proud of the teams.
Excellent. That's interesting how you went about that. Now, were you part of that panel? Because I'm curious to see what shark were you most like?
So not adopting any one personality, you know, I've got a strong belief, empowered teams. Sure. My team is fantastic. And so making sure we just create the set of environmentals that surface the ideas and let my team go do what makes them very special, which is prioritizing where we're going to invest our resources to impact the organization.
So how's it going so far? Which ones have you implemented into the company?
Yeah, so as I think thematically, 4 themes emerged. First, unstructured to structured data. Without re-architecting the data systems and hierarchy inside the company, how do we take unstructured data throughout the company and turn it into intelligence to help make better decisions? How do we augment the way in which we forecast around the company and the velocity with which we forecast? Third of the 4 swim lanes was about anomaly detection. How do we surface in an organization as complex as ours, where there's thousands and thousands of points of intersection, how do you surface those anomalies faster so that the teams can dig deep and drive insights, and then general productivity? And so early successes, implementing general productivity across the procurement organization, general productivity around the way we are booking orders in an automated fashion inside of the company, general productivity around how we engage with our employees around things like the employee manuals, our equity compensation, our regular compensation. And as we aspire to grow 50%, 100%, this is about getting the foundation right so we can scale the organization. We are on the cusp of implementing the anomaly detection in a very robust way that not only surfaces anomalies, but also takes a stab at putting the business overlay, qualitative overlay, around the data anomaly. So it's a starting point for the team to dig in. And then the forecasting engine, we've made fantastic progress. They're on the cusp of implementing that as well.
Now, how are your employees embracing it? Because that's one challenge that some companies have, is getting everyone on board, on the AI train and driving it forward. How are they embracing it?
So I would say enthusiasm is significantly up. Morale in the organization is significantly up because they're engaged in architecting what the solution is. There's a difference between change being imposed and being part of the change. And so, again, bringing the employees into the solutioning process. And we see it in the engagement surveys. Those that are touching the generative AI technologies are the ones that are most enthusiastic about the impact they're making and most enthusiastic about the strategy of the company. And it's a bit counterintuitive. You would expect a little bit of the opposite, but making them a part of the solution has really driven high morale in the organization.
Excellent. So you talked about the internal side for AI. Now let's go to the content creator side of Adobe as well. Technology is changing. There's a lot of competition out there. How do you see AI impacting Adobe? Will it be disrupted by Gen AI, or are you going to benefit from it?
So this is one of the great stories about Adobe. As I think about our history, we've been at the forefront of catalyzing some of the major technology shifts that shape the digital economy. And generative AI is no different. As we go back a decade, we've been a leader in adopting AI and machine learning technologies. We've enhanced our products with hundreds of features, implemented co-pilots to make our customers even more successful. So this technology is transformative, and we're excited about our ability to bring millions of more people into the creative process. But I think what's also important is we underpin it with a really important principle. Creativity is uniquely human. Ingenuity is uniquely human. Our tools are meant to amplify and augment and accelerate the creativity process, not replace it. So we see it as a transformational technology and another opportunity for Adobe to lead and shape.
And one of your Gen AI-powered tools, Adobe Firefly video model. So with that, I know I recently heard that Mattel and Barbie kind of getting involved with it too. So if you could, I don't know how much you could say, but if you could kind of explain how they're using it, but also how everyone else, is able to use it and what makes that technology different.
Yeah, so Firefly is a family of generative AI models. This is proprietary models that we've built based on decades of involvement in the creative space, and whether that's text to image, imaging, vector, design, video. It's an amazing suite of capabilities that we're bringing to life. Mattel is one customer example. We've got decades of engagement and experience with Mattel. They're a great partner of ours, and they're adopting Firefly technologies to go through the creative ideation process around this iconic brand that we all know and most of us love called Barbie. It's a great brand, but how do they cover more surface area from an ideation standpoint, speed up the front end of the process? And where you really find that spark of inspiration, have you freed up the bandwidth of the team to take that down to the precise detail that brings that standout content to life for their customers? So they're heavily adopting our technology, our 3D technology, and it's making a meaningful impact in what they do.
Excellent. And you've talked about responsible innovation. We've talked so much about innovation. How do you ensure that it's safe, the safety behind it?
So I think this is where our approach to these technologies is different. So I'm going to start at a high level and then work my way down, because the high level is really what influences the thinking in the company. So when you think about an ethical approach to AI, the principles of that ethical approach, accountability, responsibility, transparency. You think about that acronym, ART, accountability, responsibility, transparency is ART. Everybody inside Adobe knows art. And so it informs a perspective. Then what you do with that is the primary driver. And you think about participation across all three elements of the AI technology stack: data, models, and then the interface that bring these technologies to life for our customers. For data, We've got a rich set of data, and we only train on data that we have the rights to. We don't scrape the internet. We don't infringe on IP rights. We only train on the data that we have the rights to. The models that we bring to life, we do it in a differentiated way that's commercially safe. We've taken on the technology challenge with the data we have rights to have best-in-class output across the areas we participate based on decades of experience with imaging, with design, with vector, with video. So we leverage that experience to really differentiate where it matters. We compensate those that contribute to the data set. So we're compensating the community for their contributions. We take an approach that tries to mitigate the harm and bias embedded in the models by testing the output in a very robust way. And then we create feedback mechanisms with the community where they can communicate with us, let us know where we can do even better. And so it's a differentiated approach top to bottom. We've challenged ourselves to do this differently and bring this technology to life in a very responsible way. Very proud of the approach the company's taking, incredibly proud of the hard work of the team that gets us to where we're at.
Now, you mentioned some of those things, but innovation is great, but it's not always easy, and I'm sure there were certain roadblocks that Adobe hit along the way. What are some of the things that the company has learned from this, and maybe some tips that you can give to the audience about what you learned from some of those roadblocks that you hit?
Yeah, so company value systems are not transactional. They're North Stars that define the approach. We went through a lot of deep reflection about who we are and the responsible role we want to play, and it's informed our perspective on how we want to bring these technologies to life. So don't resist the temptation to be transactional with something super important like North Stars and value systems. That's how companies build cultures that stand the test of time and perpetuate leadership. A comment was made earlier today. Be mindful of the context with which we bring these technologies to life. The real magic happens. The real magic happens around these technologies when you deeply and natively embed them into the products and technologies and workflows that define our customers' day-to-day existence, the products that they know and love. That's where the true magic happens around these technologies. And so being maniacal in the focus to bring the technologies to life in a way that puts you in the customer's shoes, being empathetic to what those workflows look like, and surfacing those technologies in a way that yields real productivity enhancements. Easier said than done, sure. But that maniacal focus pays off over time because your customers benefit in a material way.
And Adobe recently reported quarterly results. So, do you see the AI demand? Is it I don't want to say a fad, but is there still more room to run with it? Do you see softening demand, or is there still more room to go?
There is an amazing amount of room to run. This is truly transformational technology. And when I think about the three market opportunities we as a company are pursuing, the way I frame that is unleashing creativity for all, accelerating document productivity, and powering digital businesses. Each one is a massive opportunity on a standalone basis. When you layer on top of that the substantive changes that generative AI is making, it's TAM expansive in each of those three opportunities, and us as a leader across those opportunities. It's going to power growth for decades to come. And so we feel really bullish about what we see out in the market, the ability to take what makes Adobe special, make our customers successful, and drive investor value in the process. This is not a transitional phase that's going to lose steam. We are in the very early days of something that's transformational.
So as that train kind of pushes forward, what are you concerned about most as far as the technology is concerned?
I would say two things. Okay. Velocity at this moment in time is super important. The way I describe it, we're going through a pervasive change right now. There's always going to be disruption in technology. My use of the term pervasive I'm sorry, we're going through an inflection right now. My use of the term inflection means that change, disruption is pervasive. In an inflection where change is pervasive, disruption is pervasive, pieces on a chessboard will move. Industry alignment is in flux. Competitive contours of industry are in flux. At some point, those competitive contours begin to recrystallize and advantages accrue to leaders in industry. So now is the time to dig deep. Now is the time to move and move with speed. So that as those competitive contours begin to realign, begin to crystallize, we're in a clear leadership position. Second thing, and I'll often say this to the company, there isn't anything we can't do as a company. I don't say that in an arrogant way, but it illustrates a really important point at this moment in time. We've got industry-leading relationships. We've got category-defining platforms. We've got flagships that define the magic of the Adobe ecosystem. IQ per capita at the company is off the charts, and we've got the financial resources and profile where we could invest in just about anything we want to invest in. So there isn't anything we can't do except one thing, and that's everything. And so prioritization at this moment in time is super important. How do you focus on the things that matter the most? And the two are related. You can see the companies that are prioritizing in a way that their speed and velocity of innovation is going up, not distracted by shiny objects at a really important moment where they try to do too much, spread themselves too thin, and execution crispness atrophies. Those are the two things.
And in the final moments that we have here, where would you like to see AI go next within Adobe, as far as on the content side, or maybe even other departments within the company as well?
So we've got an initiative underway from an internal company operations perspective, whether it's the technical community, whether it's the legal function, whether it's the HR function. There's a pervasiveness of thinking. How do we re-architect the way of working in a way that allows us to scale efficiently off of these levels? It's not about cost compression at Adobe, because our aspirations are to grow significantly off these levels. It's how do we scale efficiently so that the vast majority of the resources going forward go to the things that delight customers. That's the internal perspective. Again, I come back to this concept of magic being made when you bring these technologies to life in the products that our customers know and love. So that concept of deeply and natively embedding the technologies into the workflows that define their day-to-day existence, doing that in a seamless way that democratizes access to creativity, whether it's on the content creation side or the consumption side. There's a real opportunity to bring millions of more people into the creativity process. Super proud that we as a company get to play a role in that.
Excellent. Dan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for
Appreciate
sitting down and talking with everybody here. We are next going to go to our next panel, and they're going to talk about how they're using AI to get work done. I know you spoke a lot about that too. Please welcome to the stage our moderator, Bloomberg's Shireen Ghaffari, with our panelists Patrick Day of Rockwell Automation, Desiree Gosby of Walmart, and Ashok Shrivastava of Intuit. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.